A political storm is brewing on the American landscape as a groundbreaking analysis reveals widespread disapproval of former President Trump's foreign policy with significant implications for his future. Good evening. We begin tonight with a potent and provocative analysis published in The Guardian, penned by veteran political observer Sid Blumenthal. His report delivers a stark message. The American public, it appears, is largely unimpressed by, and indeed actively disapproving of, former President Donald Trump's distinct approach to foreign policy. More critically, Blumenthal posits that these very escapades on the global stage are likely to exact a substantial political cost, potentially reshaping the contours of his ongoing influence and future political aspirations. This is not merely an idle observation, it's a deep dive into the electorate's evolving sentiment. According to Blumenthal's extensive piece, the America First doctrine, which fundamentally redefined global engagement during the Trump administration, appears to be facing a significant reckoning with the domestic audience. While initially resonating with a segment of the population eager for a perceived shift away from traditional internationalism, the long-term impact and practical manifestations of this policy are now, according to this analysis, eliciting widespread concern and even outright disapproval among American citizens. What constitutes this foreign policy that is drawing such critical domestic scrutiny? Blumenthal's analysis points to a multitude of factors. It encompasses everything from the transactional nature of diplomatic relationships, where alliances forged over decades were repeatedly questioned and at times strained, to the withdrawals from international agreements in organizations such as the Paris Climate Accord or the Iran nuclear deal, and the often confrontational rhetoric directed at both allies and adversaries alike. The consistent theme, as Blumenthal suggests, was a deliberate disruption of established norms and an embrace of unilateral action, frequently executed with little deference to multilateral consensus. The term escapades, employed in Blumenthal's piece, is particularly telling. It evokes a sense of impulsive, perhaps even reckless, deviation from conventional diplomatic practice.
These weren't merely policy decisions. They were often characterized by their dramatic presentation, their unexpected timing, and their tendency to generate global controversy. From surprise summits to abrupt policy shifts announced via social media, these actions undeniably captured headlines. But Blumenthal argues they also generated a profound sense of instability and unpredictability among the American populace, eroding confidence in the nation's international standing and leadership. The core of Blumenthal's argument, however, lies in the projected consequences. These foreign policy escapades are likely to cost him. This isn't merely a theoretical postulation. It delves into the very real political calculus facing former President Trump. The cost here can be multifaceted. For one, it directly impacts his electability. While his base remains fiercely loyal, the broader electorate, particularly independent and swing voters, often prioritizes stability, predictability, and a strong, respected international presence. Disapproval on foreign policy could be a significant barrier to expanding his coalition beyond his core supporters, potentially jeopardizing any future electoral bids. Furthermore, Blumenthal's analysis suggests this disapproval could erode his moral authority and influence even within his own party. As the Republican Party navigates its post-Trump future, the efficacy and popularity of his signature foreign policy stances will inevitably be scrutinized. If these escapades are broadly perceived as detrimental to American interests or prestige, it could empower dissenting voices within the GOP, challenging the continued adoption of such policies and potentially diminishing Trump's kingmaker status. There's also the profound question of legacy. Political leaders, regardless of their immediate electoral fortunes, are ultimately judged by history. If a significant segment of the American public comes to view Trump's foreign policy as having weakened the nation's global position, alienated key allies, or fostered greater instability, it will undeniably cast a long shadow over his historical appraisal. Blumenthal's piece highlights how public sentiment, even years after a presidency, can profoundly shape the narrative. The Guardian article, drawing on Blumenthal's seasoned perspective, implicitly raises crucial questions for the current political discourse. How do Americans define effective global leadership? Is there a growing yearning for a return to traditional diplomatic engagement, or has the Trump era fundamentally altered public expectations?
And how will future administrations, regardless of party affiliation, contend with a populace increasingly attuned to the implications of foreign policy on their daily lives and national pride? What makes this analysis particularly compelling is its focus on public sentiment as a critical determinant of political viability. It suggests that while certain foreign policy decisions might play well with a specific base, the broader